Yuba-Sutter.live's local government live streams are presented by Plumas Lake Self-Storage in Plumas Lake, where lifelong local residents are helping other residents keep things safe, providing indoor storage units, outdoor RV and vehicle parking, moving supplies, and Penske truck rentals. Details at plumaslakeselfstorage.com.
Hi, I'm Neil Goforth of Comfort Keepers of Yuba, Sutter, and Nevada counties. Caring for elders or even yourself has challenges. Comfort Keepers of Yuba, Sutter, and Nevada counties can help you address today's issues and plan for tomorrow with in-home and specialized care for you or your family members. Call us at 530-749-8800. Comfort Keepers of Yuba, Sutter, and Nevada counties.
Through the chair, actually, I can go ahead and do roll call. Okay. Supervisor Vasquez?
Here.
Supervisor Blazer is absent. Supervisor Fuhr?
Yes.
Supervisor Bradford is absent. Supervisor Messick?
Here.
Thank you.
Wow, I can see the audience now.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
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 Public comment?
Public comment.
Yes, in case there is any for the consent agenda. All right.
Moving on to, we want to do public communications at all, or
No, special presentations.
special presentations?
I can go ahead and call up the first person, and this is agenda item 5-2024. Receive update from Yuba-Sutter Chamber of Commerce on film Yuba-Sutter.
Good morning. Thank you for having us today. I'm Janelle with the Yuba-Sutter Chamber of Commerce, and I will be introducing Sabrina as she will be doing the presentation for the updates on the Film Commission. Thank you. Good morning. So it's been a couple of years since I've been here in person because last year I was in an accident where I fractured my hip, and so I was giving the presentation by. So I just kind of wanted to do a little summary of everything that we've done in the last couple of years since you gave us the designation to move forward with the Film Commission, and just kind of catch up on what we're doing. So just a little bit of why the position exists. Our goal is to attract productions to come and film in the area to promote economic development and increase, the quality of life for residents in the community. We serve as the primary liaison, so we're the first point of contact when a production is looking for locations, information on permitting, connections with local vendors, cast and crew, and things like that. So that's our role, is to make sure we make the process as easy as possible and cut the red tape that may exist. Hopefully it doesn't. These are some of the services. Whoops. Click the button a little too fast. So we are a member of the FLICS, which is the Film Liaisons in California statewide. That's a network of 42 film commissions throughout the state. These are some of the services that, we're required to do as part of that affiliation. And just, again, we're the primary resource for productions for this region. All of our services are offered at no cost to productions, and that's really helpful. We come alongside and offer that support. That's a requirement of being a film commission. And so in order to have the recognition from California Film Commission and all the other affiliations that we'll get into, we cannot charge for services. So your support is vital in order for the Film Commission to exist. Some of the additional things that aren't requirements, but we do support local filmmaker events. I don't know if anybody was able to attend. Well, I do. A couple of the supervisors that aren't here were able to attend Livia's house screening. So we like to make sure that we're doing as much to promote even local filmmakers, all of their projects as well. So it's not just the outside filmmaking community, it's the local filmmakers as well. So just going through the contracted services that we have with the Chamber, we're responsible for maintaining affiliations with the different organizations. These are some of those. Film USA is the national network of film commissions. California Film Commission is kind of the first stop of getting the acknowledgement that we're a legitimate film commission and the representative for the area. AFCI is the international organization. There's about 1,100 film commissions throughout the world. I've already kind of highlighted about Flix. And then the Location Managers Guild International, we support that organization. It's our primary audience is location managers. They're the ones that kind of get the script and then go looking for what kind of locations are gonna make that work. In our contract, we're committed to representing Film Yuba-Sutter at a minimum of 4 industry meetings and events. As you can see, we've done far more than that in the last couple of years. Our advertising campaigns, again, including in a minimum of 2 print and digital campaigns and including in a minimum of 3 of our e-newsletter campaigns that go out to our entire audience. Between all of them, we're reaching tens of thousands of people in the film industry through those different outlets. Okay. We were also tasked with creating one promotional video for Film Yuba-Sutter. We did that, and then we also created a series of location highlights. Those are available on the YouTube channel for Film Yuba-Sutter. And so I would encourage you to go on there. But those are used for when we're sponsoring events to allow people to see a little bit of what the region has to offer. There's a lot of diversity here in this area, so they, kind of regardless of what script they're looking at, they could have a lot of different options in the community. Okay. We also manage the social media account. We prepare quarterly reports. We're going to get into the metrics that are listed here shortly. But that's important so that you know that the money that's being invested has a return. So we gather that data from productions. We're available pretty much 24/7 when productions have needs to, whether that's for scouting, they're actually filming, they need us on location. And then this year we added having a representative from the Yuba-Sutter region, and that's Marnie Sanders. She was vital in having the Film Commission launch, and obviously is well connected with Janelle at the Chamber as well, and so having her on our board has been wonderful. We designed a brochure, which I'll show you on the next screen. There's a Film Yuba-Sutter website that has a variety of locations. We've added to those locations again this year and lists different kinds of productions that have filmed in the area, which helps projects, kind of know that there's a lot of activity that's happening here. Sorry, I don't know why it's delaying. Uh-oh. Well, we're starting over. I think we're getting to the statistics here, so. Okay. So I'm just going to keep it, I guess, in this frame here. But this is the brochure that it's a trifold brochure, so it doesn't appear like that. It's folded up. But it does showcase a little bit of the projects that have filmed here and then the variety of locations. All right, so the first year metrics, we were just planning infrastructure that year. We were not planning on having, there wasn't any indication that there would be productions happening, during that time. But we were able to host one production at that period. So that was kind of a bonus activity. But for 23 and 24, what we were wanting to do was obviously increase productions and the local economic impact now that we had the infrastructure built. We wanted to continue doing the event attendance. We've been able to do this, and actually the bottom one with the location offerings in the online gallery, we've completed that task as well. So this was submitted before we had completed that final contract deliverable. So for January to September 2023, we haven't yet reported for the final quarter yet. We had 14 inquiries and 4 productions filming, including a docuseries, a student film, a television series, and a documentary. There were 14 shoot days total for those productions that filmed, and we had a reported room nights for 40 room nights. That's important because we had the Lodging Association as one of our program sponsors, and so they want to know how many rooms are being utilized. And so we track that metric as well. We've had 2 permit applications, 2 permits issued, and a return of approximately $160,000 for that period of time. So it's good, going from 6,000 one year to 160,000. We also had industry strikes for about 6 months of 2023. So that did affect some of the productions that we had potentially coming to the area, and more so in a way of delay. So we anticipate that in 2024, now that the strikes are resolved, hopefully IATSE won't be doing a new strike this year. We're hoping that they'll resolve that before that period comes. But we anticipate that number will increase in 2024. So we are, again, just continuing forward. We're going to be at the Sonoma International Film Festival, San Francisco International Film Festival. We have added those 20 locations to the online gallery. They've also been added to Cinema Scout, which is one of the primary sources that productions utilize when just kind of generally searching for production or for locations. And then we still have 3 feature films on schedule to shoot this year. So that's our current report. Does anybody have any questions?
Tell me about the 3 feature films.
Well, so our affiliations kind of require that we have confidentiality. So what I can share is that 2 of them are SAG projects. Those generally bring more funding to the area because their budgets are generally larger. They are feature films. They're independent feature films, so they're not studio, like they're not the big projects, but they're larger scale projects. And yeah, so we're working with them, working with the jurisdictions, and hoping to be able to make them happen.
I'm curious about the Film Commission recording or requiring a permit at no charge, but a permit to do any kind of filming. When does that trigger? And then do you guys get an echo of whenever that happens, they then notify you that it's occurring?
Sure. So it's kind of dependent on the jurisdiction. In this area, you've got cities that permit, counties that permit. Any public lands are going to have trigger permits. So when it's not triggered is when it's typically on private property, unless they're doing some sort of special effects like fire, gun, weapons and things like that, where we might need to bring in firefighters or police officers to make sure that there's not a situation.
Sure. So my question, I guess, is if somebody's filming something on their phone at an event, that doesn't trigger it. But,
Oh, yes.
But if somebody's doing something commercially where they're being
Correct.
paid, it triggers it.
Yeah, so the difference is intent. So if you're like at Disneyland with your family and you're recording just for fun, that's recreational. It's not commercial. When you are filming something for distribution of any kind, so whether that's YouTube, Instagram, you're promoting a product, you're being paid for your work, or you're anticipating getting dividends back for
So
what
anybody who does a TikTok video or a YouTube that plans on having a sponsored ad is supposed to get it permitted.
I suppose it depends on how big their audience is. There's a lot of, there will never be full compliance. I can tell you that. But,
I was just curious, yeah.
But, in theory, if somebody, again, it also depends on where they are. If they're in their home and they're
Sure.
reviewing a product in this area, they wouldn't be required. But if they were doing that in LA requires a permit in your home.
Interesting. Okay.
So it really is jurisdiction dependent, and it does come back down to intent of what you're doing.
And then does the California level then send that information to you that there is an active permit next week at this location in public? Or do they not send that
The
to you?
California Film Commission only gets involved with state permits. Other than that, I'm the one generally who's helping productions navigate the local permit requirements.
Okay.
So we have on our website, there's a permit page that lists the various permitting agencies in the area. And so they'll reach out and say, I want to film, in downtown Marysville.
Right.
And so I say, okay, we need to connect with the city of Marysville. Are you going to be wanting to stop traffic? Are you going to be, impeding pedestrian access? Those kind of things. And sometimes the jurisdictions will say it's not required, depending on, this, if it's one person with a handheld camera, they
Right.
might just say, just go. But I will always defer to the permitting agency to say that. I will never say, oh, you don't need a permit. So
All right,
I also
thank you.
won't require that they fill out a form that they don't need to.
Through the chair. I have a question. Would it be possible to split out the impact on Yuba and Sutter separately? Because we're growing at about 500 homes a year, and you guys aren't growing that much. So just kind of curious as to what's actually happening. Plus, we got the Hard Rock here, and
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
think that they would
It's possible. The difficulty is that, they're generally going to be hiring probably from both areas. They're pretty closely connected. They might be drawing in a caterer from one and filming in
big
another.
difference between the two, though.
Yeah. It's possible.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Good presentation.
2024, and that's receive update on Project Hope.
Is it the PDF there? Oh, thanks. No, we didn't.
Good morning, Supervisors. My name is Chris Champlin. I'm the President and CEO of Adventist Health and Rideout. This morning, we wanted to come and talk about Project Hope. My intent today is to give you a reminder of what Project Hope is, and then talk about where we are in the process and to do a whole bunch of thank yous in between. With me today is Robin Oliver, our Chief Strategy Officer, and we have a whole bunch of supporters here that we'll point out later on. So Project Hope, if you remember, is our attempt to build some behavioral health infrastructure for the two-county region. If any of you have been to our emergency department at the hospital, you know how clogged we are with behavioral, people laughing, with behavioral health patients. Now remember, we're a medical facility, right? We're not a behavioral health facility. We become the de facto behavioral health facility because there is no infrastructure. So we are going down the road with a consortium, Yuba County, City of Marysville, Sutter County, City of Yuba City, Yale Air Force Base, and a variety of individual supporters to create infrastructure to take care of this need for ourselves. Okay, Robin's going to drive here. So about a year ago, we came up with Project Hope. The idea is to have medical recuperative services. So that is when a patient is ready for discharge, but they don't have a place to go to. This Project Hope would provide that medical recuperative space for them to continue their recuperation. Short-term post-hospitalization housing, sobering centers, so you know we need that, temporary housing, housing navigation, daily habitation, so therapies for life and support services. We have got two phases of Project Hope. Phase 1 we're calling Project Hope Minor. We'll talk a little bit about that. And then Phase 2 is Project Hope Major, where we're going to rehabilitate, remodel the old Fremont Hospital over in Yuba City to be this campus. We received $8 million in grant funding back in November of 2023. Very, very excited about that. And so that's the first big chunk of money that we've received to move forward with this project. Here's where we stop and do a whole lot of thank you. Thank you to you for writing the initial letter of support that got us that money. Thank you to the city. I've already mentioned a lot of organizations. You can see them here on the screen. This really would not be possible without the continued support of all of these entities. So we've got the $8 million that we're going to move forward with. But before that, we're going to start with Project Hope Minor. Project Hope Minor is going to be a 22-bed version of the big major. We have located some property over on Garden Highway, just south of the fairgrounds on the right-hand side. There used to be some county services there. We've been working with the city and fire. The building, the occupancy, we thought would allow us to have people stay there overnight. As it turns out, the occupancy rating was not. So we actually have to remodel that whole space and put in fire sprinklers. That was going to take the whole budget, and so we're working to see if we can find a less expensive way of getting that started. But to start with, we'll have medical recuperative care, short-term post-hospitalization, enhanced care management, and housing navigation. Right now, we're in the process of looking for, would love your help if you know anybody, a project manager to drive this project. Keep telling the team, I want somebody to wake up in the morning thinking about it and go to bed at night thinking about it, really get this thing going. So we're looking for that right now. Our goal is to have the facility open by the end of this calendar year, which is a very aggressive goal. We've got about $2.5 million of grant funding from a variety of sources to get Project Hope Minor going. And then while we're doing that, we're going to turn our focus to Project Hope Major. So let's go back to Project Hope Major. Our first step is to take that $8 million and to figure out what services of that list that I showed you a minute ago can we fully implement for the $8 million. That'll be the first thing that we do. So we're going to go through and we're going to rate those. Our goal is whatever we have after we spent that $8 million to actually have services that are offered. Then we're going to go after additional funding, and we're actually starting to look at a variety of sources that are currently available to us to bring in additional funding to finish that project. When we first estimated what the project would cost, it was somewhere in the $25 million range. We thought $18 million to $20 million of actual cost, plus another $5 million of cost escalations, and oops, we didn't think about that sort of cost. Smiling. So we think about $25 million we can get that done. again, the idea is to get those services launched. We have a 24-month window to spend that $8 million from the end of November last year. So once again, a very, very tight time frame to spend the money down on design and construction and then the services. We're going to go back and just clarify something. So the $8 million is for design and construction. The services that we deliver will be paid for through Medi-Cal and Cal-AIM expansion. So those services will be paid ongoing, and the services should be self-supporting. But it's just that construction money that we needed to raise for. Our commitment to you is to keep you informed. I'd like to come back on a regular cadence and tell you where we are. If you have questions of me and the team, where we are, it will be your time to ask. We're going to put together a website that the community can follow where we are at marketingcommunicationsah.org. So again, ongoing communication. This is such an important project for both communities. We want to make sure that you are part of it, you're informed, and all your questions are. That is my report, unless there are questions.
Through the chair. Years ago, we were rated as our cancer center as 6th in the nation as far as efficiency goes, and haven't heard much about that. How is our cancer center?
Yeah, we're continuing to do well. I don't know what our current rating is. That was kind of I'd like to know that. We're doing well. We have had, I can make this comment sort of general health care in both counties. We're having trouble recruiting physicians. You all know, right? Nobody gets into a hospital without a physician order. Nobody gets out of a hospital without a physician order. They are the economic engine for healthcare. Robin here with me is responsible for recruiting physicians or hiring the person that is responsible for recruiting. And we've had a very, very difficult time attracting physicians to the community. It is one of our biggest goals for the year. Now, how does that relate to your question about the cancer center? The cancer center is also in that same boat. We've lost a couple of physicians in the cancer center, some due to health issues, some due to just simply moving out of the area. Despite losing physicians, those that we've retained are doing an excellent job. Our goal, not because it's an issue, but because we want to grow that book of business, is to add more physicians, add more mid-levels to it, and decrease the amount of time that it takes for a diagnosis to actually access the services at the center. All in all, it's going well.
The reason for asking is cancer is one of the biggest killers of our individuals here, and it's nice to know you have one of the better cancer centers in the United States located here.
Well, as you know, the beauty of it is that we're connected to UC Davis, and so we have access to all the clinical trials, we have access to all the staff. It's great.
Well, every year or two, let us know how the cancer center is doing. It would be nice.
I promise I will. Yeah.
Thank you.
On the time frame for Hope Minor, you're not going to be having the 22 beds there at all, or it's going to be delayed?
No, it is. We need that project manager to just drive it as fast as we can.
So it's undetermined at this point?
Yeah, undetermined. Yeah, we've got to get that space locked down. Let's get the money spent to put the sprinkler system in. We're hoping literally by the end of this calendar year.
Okay, and then the Housing Navigation Center would not be limited to just those 22 beds, but it would be more general for the community?
Correct.
Okay, and that is also part of the umbrella of the the project manager. So until that happens, we will also not have the Housing Navigation Center.
I'm going to answer it a little bit differently. So the project manager that we're looking for, is to drive the construction piece.
Okay.
And then we're going to hire a project manager or a manager of the center. Okay. And that person is the operator, right? And then the case managers, the complex case management is a bit of a pick and a pluck. So we're going to take some of the services that are currently embedded in the emergency department and move them to Project Hope, so that the county funded services. And so we'll do the complex navigation through those services in that location. And then when Project Hope Major opens, we'll move the whole thing over to the new campus.
Okay. And then just as far as farming it out, instead of having a project manager in-house and just farming it out for as far as construction and then farming out the navigation center and other services to, let's say, Hands of Hope or some other place, instead of having internal project managers, what's the disadvantage there?
You know, for the construction piece, I would consider farming it out. I think for the actual operations of it, I think I would want that to be in-house. That just makes more sense. It'd be fully integrated into the hospital at that point.
So Project Hope Minor finishes and completes at the end of this year. And then because of the funding, Project Hope Major has to complete the $8 million by the end of November of next year.
Correct.
Okay.
Good.
Anything else, guys?
Thank you. Chair, we have an individual that managed to do the Tri-County Juvenile Hall system. It's local talent down there, and he did it under budget and under.
Love to have the name.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Actually, if I could, through the chair, there may be onto something there, Supervisor Vasquez. We can talk more, but maybe there's project management talent within Yuba County that we could contract out or loan to Adventist to help with the project.
We'll connect. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, agenda item 61-2024, receive quarterly update from Health and Human Services.
You're good to be a frequent flyer there.
Working on it. Good morning to the chair, members of the board. I'm John Corneal, the Assistant Director with the Health and Human Services Department. And we're going to do the quarterly project update for HHS for the months October through December. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to start with the Public Assistance Division, and there's Deputy Director Jamie Bartolome, 119 employees currently in that area. The first topic we wanted to highlight was what we call Medi-Cal unwinding. There's a little bit of background involved with this, so bear with me, but in the Medi-Cal program, generally, there's an application process. You're approved generally for a year. After a year, we send out some more paperwork. We say we have to reassess and just kind of double check that you're still eligible for the program or eligible at the same level. We call that a renewal. Now, we all are familiar with all the various things that happened during the pandemic, and one of the things the state told all of the counties statewide, you're no longer going to discontinue any Medi-Cal for this renewal process. If people are on Medi-Cal, leave them on. So it's been a long time that process has been in place. We haven't been doing any of these Medi-Cal renewals. The state has recently said, okay, time to start doing the Medi-Cal renewals again. And at this point, it's been 4 years. The majority of our staff in this area have never done a Medi-Cal renewal. They were hired within the last 4 years. So there was a whole training and relearning process, but we've started those renewals again, and they really are doing a fantastic job. Over 98% of the renewals, these Medi-Cal renewals, are being processed timely. I've got a quote down here from the Assistant Deputy Director of DHCS about how proud they are and how supportive they are of our efforts. Not every county is performing that well, but we're really proud of our staff of how good of a job they're doing in that area. The next thing we wanted to highlight is the child care that Children's Home Society provides for us. We partner with them to subsidize child care. Down in the bottom left, you see a few different charts, and basically the idea is just to demonstrate how big of an expense child care is. So if you send your child to a child care center, on average, you're looking at $1,200 a month in expenses, all the way down to if you do a family child care home, it's around $759 a month. Our participants in stage 1 child care through the CalWorks program, that expense is fully subsidized, with the idea being the employment division, they work with families that are receiving the CalWorks program. Their goal is to get them gainfully employed so that they no longer need the CalWorks program. This service here helps transition people into the working environment, and they don't have to worry about this pretty significant expense when they start off. That amount is completely subsidized. So at this point, I'm going to hand the presentation baton off to Deputy Director Tony Gordon for the Social Services section.
Good morning. Again, my name is Tony Gordon. I'm the Deputy Director for Yuba County Child Adult Protective Services, and I wanted to talk to you a little bit about some of the things that we are involved in. And here is a picture of us for the Yuba County Children's Wellness, Child, and Abuse Prevention Council. So frequently, Supervisor Fuhrer was a member of that, and now Supervisor Vasquez is a member of that group. And here's a photo of us from our last meeting. But basically what this, I want to think of a generalization, is this is kind of like a think tank or a group of individuals that basically we meet together. There's members of law enforcement, ourselves, behavioral health, and community members at large. And so basically just discussing items or topics that come to our attention that deal specifically for prevention. And so really taking that focus of hearing what the community needs are to make sure that really that prevention aspect is to engage families before we get to the touch point before Child Welfare Services actually gets involved. But we do have some activities where we do sponsor some events, and usually in April is a big child abuse prevention month where we would be providing some services or doing some outreach. But it really is a good opportunity for us to get together to engage and to come up with just some decision-making points. A couple of years ago, we did an assessment of community needs, and so really developed a playbook that helps us identify what some of the specific targeted needs are for the community so we can focus funding outreach activities on those targeted individuals. The second thing I want to talk about is extended foster care and transitional housing programs. So there seems to be sometimes this misconception idea that once a juvenile reaches adulthood in the foster care system and they turn 18, that there are no supports in place for them and that they're basically pushed out on their own. And that really is a myth. So we do have some programs that are available for youth in Yuba County, and one of them is called THP, which is a transitional housing program, and that's up for individuals that are 18 to 25. We do contract with vendors in place, and so basically those youth in that age bracket, they work with basically, I don't want to say conservator because that's not what it is, but a mentor. Let's just say a mentor that provides them some services. And basically during that time, they help them with housing, and then they have a service plan that they have that's elevated every 6 months. It's reviewed, and there's goals inside that plan to make them continue to be eligible for those services. You can only be on that program for up to 36 months consecutive, but they do things with helping them with housing, finding the education assistance, helping them navigate college or high school, and making sure that actually the environment where they're also staying, there are requirements of where they actually can live to provide those services. So think of like an apartment or something like that. The other program that we do have is called extended foster care. And so I think the easiest way to explain that is sometimes the youth, when they are at that age, when they turn 18, aren't really ready to be independent. And so they stay under the umbrella of Health and Human Services. And so we do have a social worker that works with them. And they can also provide assistance with them for housing. But again, we meet with them on a monthly basis. And some of the goals that you have to have when you are involved in that program would be completing your high school or educational program, working up to 80 hours per month, enrolled in post-secondary education or vocational schools, I know Mr. Supervisor Vasquez, that's a big deal for you about working with local unions. And so we have a lot of programs where we actually do send the youth prior to this age when they turn 18 and working with those. They do tours of those facilities. And so getting that exposure is something that we work with those individuals too as well. And again, they're eligible for that program for a certain time period. So if you have any questions or is there anything I can try to answer for you? Thank you.
All right, thanks, Tony. So on to public health. And there's Deputy Melissa Shaw, Dr. Liu, 46 employees in that group now. The first thing I just wanted to briefly touch on is some navigation center updates. We are at the very, very early stages of looking at some way to replace 14 Forward with something else. Not exactly sure what it would be or how it would work. There's a couple of examples here on this page right now, but just at the very beginning stages of that, and the board will hear more information about that definitely in the future. And we have the pre-release enrollment program in public health. So this probably bears a little bit of background as well. When people become incarcerated in the jail, we find often that they have medical needs. They need medical coverage. They get that through the jail, but those medical needs don't cease to exist when they're released from incarceration. And the Medi-Cal application process can be complicated and lengthy, and oftentimes is not the top priority for people that have been recently released from incarceration. So they've got a lot of competing priorities. So what we have started is a process where we engage every inmate that comes into the jail. We talk with them, find out if they have an interest in getting enrolled for the Medi-Cal program. If they do, we do as much legwork as we possibly can. Bring application forms over to them to get them signed, research our systems to see if we already have the documentation on file for their verification requirements, get the paperwork signed, image it back into our system, get everything set up, and then enroll them in Medi-Cal, even though they're currently incarcerated, and put their Medi-Cal coverage on hold. So they don't actually have any benefits. But then when it comes to the date that they're released, all we have to do is essentially flip a switch, and they now have Medi-Cal insurance coverage, as opposed to being released and then having to start from scratch the entire application process, which can be lengthy and complicated. So this is a big benefit to the inmates that are incarcerated and to the community as a whole. And another project in public health is our substance abuse navigator. So the substance abuse landscape is complicated as well. There's a lot of different players and organizations involved, and oftentimes they have different availability or they need different things for eligibility requirements, and it's complicated for professionals, for our staff at HHS to navigate this landscape. You can imagine how complicated it is for a regular resident that doesn't do this as their job, and then layer on top of that the fact that they're also dealing with substance abuse issues. So what we've started is a referral process. We've dedicated a social worker to navigating that landscape, helping connect clients with, it can be outpatient care, it can be inpatient care, medically assisted treatment, and they do all of that work and align these services with the client's need. So right now, this is only an internal referral process that we have. It only exists within HHS. But after we've had a chance to iron out some of the wrinkles, the plans are to expand this referral process, open it up to the rest of the county departments, and then eventually the community as a whole. So, And here we are with department updates, 55 employees in the Administration and Finance Division. You guys have heard this one before, but we're very proud of it. The CSAC Challenge Awards are all-hands disaster training event. We were nominated for a CSAC Challenge Award and, in fact, won one of those. Of the 389 entries, only 14 were selected to win. And I think that CSAC has a board date next month targeted to come and present the award to Yuba County. And there's Graham Nouse, the CEO of CSAC down there, with a very flattering quote for us. We're really proud of Ben Martin and his team for putting that on and having it be recognized as a best practice for all counties. This is, we typically leave, this is a pretty internally focused effort here. We don't usually include these on our quarterly reports to the board. But we included it this time because this was actually one of the technology bullet points that the board heard about during our budget workshop presentation last year. So we've selected an inventory system, fully modernized inventory system. We should have complete insight into everything that we have at HHS, who it's with, and a bunch of nice automation to keep all of that data in pristine condition and keep it updated. And this project is fully underway, has been kicked off, and will be implemented before the end of the year. Then we've got the Blue Zones Executive Panel at HHS. This was a nice event. Blue Zones executives from a bunch of different states across the country all came to HHS to discuss the Blue Zones impact in the community with a panel of Yuba-Sutter Blue Zones approved work sites, groceries, and restaurants. So in this picture up at the top in the center, you can see the panel in the background. They took a tour of the HHS building. They were very excited and complimentary of all the different offerings we have at HHS, which was really nice to hear. Working on the Blue Zones project and trying to align a workplace and culture with the Blue Zones ideology, it's very iterative, and we move the ball slowly down the field. It doesn't all happen at once. So being embedded in it like that, it can be tough to see all of the change that's been made, but having them come in with fresh eyes and say, wow, this place is great, it's great, all the different stuff that you offer was really nice to hear. Then we've got the Marysville and Olive Hearst Christmas parades. This was a fun outreach event. We got to debut our Nightmare Before Christmas themed float that got rained out from last year for the Olive Hearst parade. And in the Marysville parade, we did a float highlighting our different services and divisions. We've got some great little actors here in the center looking very sharp. Jack Skellington and I don't know all the characters' names, but they look great. And finally, we've just got our shotgun blast of different events that we also did. 14 different bulleted items on the right there. We've got things like the Veterans Parade. There's our Veteran Services Officer, Marvin King, in that picture. The OPUD 75th anniversary, being out at the library anytime that classrooms take field trips out there to be able to present and offer information. So just a litany of things, continuing our outreach out in the community in Yuba County, making sure that we have a presence and that all of our residents are aware of what we offer. And that is the end of the presentation. Happy to take any questions.
Very good presentation. Shows the advances we've made and have been in a positive direction. And thank you very much, and tell your staff thank you.
I apologize, you closed your slide, but I'd like to talk about that first slide, Dignity Homes. But I do want to commend you that all of First Parade kids were super cute, so. So I saw that you had a couple of different options there. Dignity Homes, kind of like a looked like a silo from an old military barracks type look. I was just curious if you can tell me lots more about that plans and project.
Let me get back to it real fast. So this one here, I cannot tell you lots more. I just know that when we developed 14 Forward, it was to fill a need, and it was never intended to be a long-term project. And at this point, we're at kind of a watershed point now where we have to decide, do we want to invest a bunch of money in renovations for 14 Forward to be able to keep it going, or should that money go to something else? And that's the point that we're at right now. So that's pretty much all the information I can share at this point.
All right, so nothing about that middle picture. We don't have. That's just a stock photo. We don't have an idea, like a plan or a supposition or proposition for that congregate shelter type yet.
I think whatever plans we have as they develop, the board will definitely get informed of those. Yeah.
On your numbers, 545 people homeless, 365 sleep outdoors. The other 180 are being housed in things like the rescue mission, 14 Forward, those sorts of things, or where are those other 180 that are homeless but not sleeping outdoors?
This is where I turn around and ask for help.
Hi, good morning. I'm Melissa Shaw, Deputy Director of Yuba County Public Health. Will you repeat your question?
So we have 540 people, 5 people allocated to our county as homeless, which is down, I think it was 600 prior, so I'm glad we're reducing it. 365 sleep outdoors, that leaves 180 that are not outdoors. Are those because they're in the rescue mission, in 14 Forward, in those sorts of facilities, or where are those 180?
And at the Salvation Army and at Hope Vista, and probably getting temporary or transitional housing through motel vouchers.
Okay, and how many people on average do we have via hotel vouchers at any one time? Is that a small number, 10, or is that a large number, 100?
It is probably a little bit more than 10, but less than 100, so maybe at any given time, maybe 20 motel vouchers.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Through the chair, Cedar Lane, has that helped?
Oh, yes.
The homeless?
Oh, yes. Yes.
And the fact that we actually have a low-income housing project being open now in Plumas Lake, which is absolutely amazing.
Yes. Yes. Thank you.
You're off the hook.
Thank you, Melissa. That's it? Great.
Now for the fun.
Okay, next is public communications. Any person may speak about any subject of concern, provided it is within the jurisdiction of the Board of Supervisors and is not already on today's agenda. The total amount of time allotted for receiving such public communication shall be limited to a total of 15 minutes, and each individual or group will be limited to no more than 3 minutes. Prior to this time, speakers are requested to fill out a request to speak card and submit it to the clerk of the Board of Supervisors. Please note, no board action can be taken on comments made under this heading. And through the chair, yes, we do have cards. The first one we have is Tony Farley.
Work. Tony Farley from South City. Today, I'm here to thank the female attorney. You got a female attorney. Thank you for your service. Thank you, Chief of Police Lookalike. Thank you for your service. Thank you, Seth Fuller, District 3, Olivehurst. Thank you, John Miss, District 5, Foothills. Thank you, Annie Vasquez, District 1, like that. And thank you to the absent board, Dan Blazer and Gary Bradford. Thank them for their service. Thank you, Rachel. Did a good job. Thank you, Tony. Tony. Thank you, Dr. Liu. Thank you, Sheriff. Thank you, Tom Porter. Thank you for your service.
Next person we have up is Jim McCarty.
Well, I'd like to, through the chair, Don Blazer couldn't be here because he dislocated his shoulder and broke his left hand. So wheelchair wouldn't come up the accessible area right there. Just so you know, Don didn't show up because of laziness.
Good morning. How is everybody? My name is Jim McCarty. I'm from the Hallwood area. We're going to be speaking on everybody's favorite subject, elections. And we're going to have a tag team here to finish this up because of your time restrictions. So I'm taking off first for it, and appreciate your patience on the group of us here. The 2018 midterm elections, 2021 recall election, and the 2022 midterm elections were all lost to one-to-one balloting, but with the help of fraudulent electronic election systems and algorithm. And the actions of the globalist cartels and the CCP dictators was installed to oversee the province of California. Now, with the help of the federal courts in the state of Georgia and their unwitting corrupted secretary, Brad Raffensperger, the evidence is clear for the world to see how the selected treasonous governor of the province of California and thousands of down-ballot corrupt selected officials turned the once great state of California into a Nazi communist totalitarian province. The election case pits an election integrity, nonprofit, and handful of Georgia voters against the Secretary of State's office. They claim that the state's computerized voting systems face unacceptable risks of being hacked, which infringes on the constitutional rights of voters. The case has already made history after Tokenberg ordered the state in 2019 to replace the previous voting machines from Diebold election systems. Her ruling came after plaintiffs highlighted the touchscreen machines vulnerable to being hacked. In response, Georgia bought the Dominion machines and began using them in June 2020 presidential primary. Within the Dominion machines, voters used a touchscreen, also called a ballot marking device, to make their choice. Then they print out their ballots, which have a QR code and a scanner that reads the record to the tally for the votes. During the 6-year case, computer scientists serving as experts for the plaintiffs have uncovered multiple specific ways that both current Dominion and the previous Diebold voting machines are vulnerable to hacking. The solution, the plaintiffs argue, is to have voters mark paper ballots by hand. Nearly 70% of voters do this in the rest of the country. The ballots themselves, have a QR code, which would then be scanned, and procedure known as risk limiting audit would be used to verify results. Looks like I'm out of my time. I'm going to hand off to Tina. Thank you.
Next person we have is Tina Hessong.
Hi. Georgia is one of a handful of states that uses the same election system for all of its registered voters statewide. That means any problem, whether due to hacking or human error, could affect nearly 8 million votes. Many other states use a patchwork of systems. In June 2023, the Federal District Court for the Northern District of Georgia unsealed the so-called 96-page Halderman report, the security analysis of Georgia's ImageCast X ballot marking devices. University of Michigan professor of computer science and engineering, J. Alex Halderman, and security researcher and assistant professor at Auburn University, Drew Schringal, collaborated on the report and demonstrated in court how Dominion machines are hacked and their tabulations are easily altered to select any individual for office. In the Georgia courtroom on January 19, 2024, J. Alex Halderman demonstrated in explicit detail to the court and to the world how easily it is to hack into the Dominion voting machines and alter votes. Following an audit on the elections of 2018, 2021 and 2022, utilizing data provided by each California county and the Secretary of State's office, it is obvious an algorithm was used to create weighted vote values in Dominion and other tabulation devices by those who facilitated the selection of the governor. The evidence in the Georgia federal court presented by J. Alex Halderman overwhelmingly supports the use of an algorithm to facilitate the corrupt election of the governor. The fraudulent election system does not function without the help and support of the state and county employees who either knowingly or unwittingly have worked together to perpetuate the corrupt election system. It is also known that the Secretary of State of Georgia, Brad Rassenberger, has visited Nevada and contacted numerous California county clerks and state officials to support their actions to continue a false narrative to the citizens of New California State and Old California. The election systems, the narrative they're pushing is that the election systems are fine, and they're not. We know the Raffensperger, California County and state officials' narrative is a deliberate lie. The fraudulent California election system goes back 30 years, yet the most egregious era between 2018 and 2022 must be addressed. This will not be addressed by the current totalitarian communist government of California unless we, the people, act and demand the decertification of the 2018 through 2022 elections now. There are legal ways to demand decertification, at the same time force counties to utilize paper ballots, same-day elections, which was successfully demonstrated January 27, 2024 by the great state of New California.
Through the chair, point of order. I think this is a group, and this is limited to 3 minutes. The total for public communications is 15 minutes, but as the rules are stated here.
3 minutes per person and 15 minutes on a subject?
And I do believe it's 15 minutes for a group, total.
It doesn't read that way. It's each individual or group will be limited to no more than 3 minutes.
Through the chair, I can go ahead and read it again. It says the total amount of time allotted for receiving such public communication shall be limited to a total of 15 minutes, and each individual or group will be limited to no more than 3 minutes.
So we have a group.
And through the chair, I do want to mention that the other two cards we have are in regards to elections, which is Ruth Armstrong and Bill Brandon.
It's my first opportunity as chair, and I'm going to allow the free speech. Go ahead.
Thank you. The significance of America being a constitutional republic is that a constitution is the supreme law of the land. Any purported law, statute, code, regulation, rule, or policy made consistently with the enumerated power of the Constitution are presumed valid. In contrast, any purported law, statute, code, regulation, rule, mandate, or policy which opposes and or violates the Constitution in any way whatsoever is unlawful, null, and void. No bureaucrat, politician, or person acting in an official government capacity has the legal authority to restrict the constitutional rights of any law-abiding citizen, nor alter the count of the citizen's vote. Also, foundational to our constitutional republic is that the process of voting must be free, fair, and accurate. The 2020 presidential election and all elections since then were touted by governments as all levels as free, fair, and the most secure elections in history. Since November of 2020, little by little, the evidence has come out that these elections were not free, nor fair, nor secure. For example, every county registrar in every county in the country represented that the voting machines were not connected to the internet. Since then, it has been universally admitted that the voting machines were connected to the internet, either by cable or by Wi-Fi. While counties maintain a log of those who physically access the individual machines in person, there is no record of unauthorized access of the machines using Wi-Fi during non-business hours, nor while actually counting votes. Since before November 2020 elections, registrar voters in each county nationwide represented voting machines could not be and were not hacked. Did you or the registrar of voters in your county ever make sure such a representation to anyone at any time? If so, to whom and when? Are you aware that the Federal District Court in Georgia, there is a case named Coalition for Good Governance et al. Versus Brad Raffensperger et al. 120 CV 1677 TCB. Brad Raffensperger is the Secretary of State for Georgia. Are you aware that during the trial in the above case, University of Michigan Professor Dr. J. Alex Halderman was able to hack an electronic voting machine with only a ballpoint pen and a card and altered the vote totals in open court as the judge watched?
Next person is Bill Brandon.
Thank you. Number 4, are you aware the machine hacked by Dr. Halderman is the same type of machine used in this county? Number 5, Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger has jointly met with California Secretaries of State Shirley N. Weber and registrars of voters of all California counties. A, did you participate in any of these meetings? B, are you willing to discuss with me what exactly was discussed in those meetings? 6, are there any memos or emails the meetings mentioned in 5 above? What was discussed? What, if any, was decided? Any task assigned and or plan of action? A, are you willing to disclose any such memos, emails by this demand for information and without any court order? 7, are you aware of the federal state laws? There is some called racketeering, influence, corrupt organizations, RICO. A, are you aware the voters in this county generally, and me specifically, have been damaged by the collusion between Raffensperger, California Secretary of State Weber, and one or more registrars of voters concerning what we now know as a false narrative of an alleged integrity of the elections of November 2020 to present? Thank you.
Next person is Rennick House.
Good morning, Board, Council, and Administrator. Thank you for having me this morning. I'm Rennick House. I'm running for Yuba County Supervisor. And as I'm out knocking on doors, I've got a couple of concerns that have come out about access to our meetings, specifically our board meetings. I've had a lot of people ask about why we discontinued Zoom. They do use Yuba-Sutter Live, but they have no opportunity for input on the platform Yuba-Sutter Live. There's public comment that's easily achievable on Zoom, and I know it hasn't been used frequently in the past, but the consistency of having it available will encourage people to participate, which gives us input in our community. There's probably 10 or 15 people out of the 1,000 doors I've knocked on have brought that up, either that or the opportunity to move the meetings into the evenings, which I understand that's an administrative nightmare. But I think it's really important that we consider bringing back the Zoom access for public comment and public input. I did reach out and ask to have this put as a future agenda item on February 5th or 6th, but I was told that that's not how it works. The board has to ask for this to be placed on the agenda. and the chair or the vice chair has to agree to it to get it on the agenda. So I'd like to see it on the agenda in the future, if possible. Restricting access to input from the public, especially in for the working class. Like right now I have my son with me, right? He's fidgety as can be, so I understand how hard it would be for a mom to show up, right, with her kids, or somebody who has a low-income job where they can't ask for time off. And being that our agendas come out on a Thursday and you have until Tuesday to get that time off, I think even for somebody with a middle-class job, it'd be tough to be here for something they want to speak on. I do understand there's opportunities to send emails and have those emails read, but it's not as effective as having somebody able to answer questions or to speak with their own voice. So, thank you. I appreciate you guys giving these guys time to talk, and I appreciate all you. Thank you.
Yes, all matters listed under county departments, excuse me, are action items which will be considered and voted on separately. Our first agenda item is 62-2024, and is Community Development and Services, approved fee credit and reimbursement agreement with LGI Homes California LLC for drainage facilities for the D'Antoni Ranch project, and authorized chair to execute.
Good morning, Chair and fellow board members. Mike Lee, Community Development. So the South Yuba Drainage Master Plan update was approved by the Board of Supervisors in May of 2012, and that document identified the backbone drainage infrastructure required for development in the East Linda area. Subsequently, a nexus study was prepared and also adopted by your board in April 2014. And the Nexus study identifies the fair share cost attributable to each dwelling unit in the East Linda area to accommodate or to pay for this infrastructure that was identified in the South Yuba Drainage Master Plan. Subsequently, your board approved or adopted ordinance chapter 13.50, which sets the countywide development impact fees, and the drainage impact fee component is included in that chapter 13.50. Fast forward, LGI Homes is developing the D'Antoni Ranch project in the East Linda area. It's on the north side of Hammond and Smartsville Road, west of D'Antoni Road. It consists of 201 lots or homes. As part of their development, they constructed eligible drainage improvements that were identified in the South Yuba Drainage Master Plan. And so by doing so, then they become eligible for either reimbursement or credit against their drainage impact fee. So this agreement outlines those specific terms, and it identifies that for the lots that they have already paid their fees, they will receive a reimbursement from our drainage impact fees that are in trust that we've collected. And for the remaining lots in their development that they haven't yet paid their fees or pulled their building permit, they will get a fee credit against the full amount of drainage impact fee due on each lot, which is currently $1,900.65. I would like to point out that since I have one proposed change to the agreement that I handed out there, and that is because when I originally prepared the agreement, I forgot about the small administrative component that is included in that fee. And the administrative component is not creditable or reimbursable because that's what we use to administer the program. So that drops their credit down, and I highlighted in yellow on page 2 of the reimbursement agreement. It modifies the eligible amount down to $1,965, and I have written confirmation from the signatory of LGI Homes that they are also agreeable to that modification of the agreement. And then with that, I'll happy to answer any questions if you have them.
No, if they're agreeable.
I'll make a motion.
Public comment?
What's that?
Public comment?
Public comment.
I'll make a motion to approve it with the changes presented.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Do we need a roll call vote or is it not required? Okay.
Next agenda item is 57-2024, Community Development and Services, adopt resolution authorizing Director of Public Works or board designee to execute and submit any and all necessary documents relating to the Clean California Local Grant Program.
Good morning to the board, chair, and fellow supervisors. Sam Bunton, Public Works. In 2022, Public Works started actively pursuing grants for the reconstruction and beautification of Friendship Park. Later in that year, we were successful for $3.6 million out of the total estimated $5.9 million, and those are rounded numbers, by the way, just for the record, from the Urban Greening Grant Program. In 2023, the following year, we were awarded the remaining $2.3 million to fully fund the project from the Clean California Local Grant Program for things like art and fencing, many of the aesthetic components. Following that, we solicited proposals for design and now have Melton Design Group out of Chico on board. And today, the resolution before you is to authorize the Public Works Director to execute necessary documents for the Clean California Local Grant Program to allow reimbursement or reimbursable work specific to this grant. So today, Public Works Department, we recommend to the Board of Supervisors to adopt the resolution authorizing Public Works Director to execute and submit all necessary documents relating to the Clean California Local Grant Program. Any questions from the board?
So moved.
I think we have to do public comment again.
Okay.
Any public comment? Do you have a motion?
Yes.
Make a motion again.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you.
So next we do have correspondence. The board may direct any item of informational correspondence to department head for appropriate action. We actually have 4 agenda items. 34-2024, it's an independent audit reports from Keystone Cemetery District for years ending June 30, which is 2004, 2005, 2006, 2007, 2008, 2009, 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016, and 2017. Agenda item 42-2024 is a notice from the State of California Wildlife Conservation Board regarding a preliminary agenda scheduled for February 15th, 2024 in regards to the Upper Rose Bar Restoration Construction Augmentation Project in Yuba County. Agenda item 43-2024 is a notice from Sutter Yuba Mosquito and Vector Control District regarding public health pesticide application notification. Agenda item 50-2024 is a notice from the California Water Board State Water Resources Control Board regarding petition for a temporary change of transfer of water under permit 15026, application number 5635 of the Yuba County Water Agency. And that is all.
Board member reports.
You starting with?
Jump in, John.
Through the chair. There's an election happening pretty soon here when we move the primary up to March. Kind of made things a little short, but it's very important that people get out and they express their choice for the water agency seat, because if we lose the water agency or have problems with the water agency through the state, we're dead in the water. So it's real important to get out and vote. in any of the departments that have a need for some changes in behavioral health, it's important we hired a consultant, so please make sure that you have the name and phone number of the consultant and can make your feelings known to him. Thank you.
So I wanted to talk a little bit about the public comment time. My 13 years on the Planning Commission, I thought that there was a lot of times where we would let other individuals give their time to one individual. So in a group like this, the fastest reader could read the whole, could have the other 3 minutes of the other people and read the whole thing, combining. So one person, you know, like a lot of big things, like I remember when we did the dump deal down on Ostrom Road, it was a huge thing. So rather than people getting up and speaking 3 minutes and handing off and 3 minutes and handing off, they yielded their 3 minutes to one person that could speak. So maybe we could look into doing something like that. We're only here twice a month, so I mean, it's time for the public to speak. I think we ought to give them as much opportunity to present to us as we possibly can.
Is that something that's currently allowed and we just didn't remember to do it, or is that not something that we currently have a procedure for?
The board does have discretion on how you want to organize public comment, and so we can take the comments from the board today and evaluate what we have in place and then make recommendations on potential changes.
All right, but currently, is it allowed to yield your time to another person currently?
That has not been how we've handled public comment in the past.
So that's a great suggestion. Thank you.
You're the chair.
All right. Anything else?
Nope.
All right. So we had a food bank event, and we were able to disable one of our board members at it. So it was a good event. Other than that, we have Valentine's Day tomorrow, so I love all of you. On Thursday, we have a radio event where I'm going to be talking with Habitat for Humanity on 93Q. On the 16th, we have a food giveaway as well as the Chamber Gala. And if anybody wants to, the acting company has Our Town playing on Saturday the 17th. I think those are the exciting things that are going on. And there might be an election out there, so absolutely, as Andy said, I echo, be involved, get your neighbors involved, your family involved, everyone should be involved. All of Hearst has terrible turnout. We have about a 25% participation rate, and obviously we want it to be much higher. Thank you.
I have no updates on behalf of County Council.
This is her first time as County Council up here?
It is.
Tell us a little bit about it. How's it been?
It's been great, and thank you for the opportunity. So that's it.
All right. If I could, through the chair, I was going to invite up our County Public Information Officer, Rachel Abbott, to give the board a little update on, we had a storm event. It's been over a week now, but that wind event, it definitely drove a lot of interaction with the public, interactions with PG&E specifically. We had, at one point we had power outages, I think that totaled over 23,000 customers within Yuba County. So anyways, Rachel, take it away.
Good morning, Chair, members of the board. I'm Rachel Abbott, your Public Information Officer. So during the storm and high wind event last week, we communicated with our public on public road closures and hazards, outage updates from PG&E, and resources like community resource centers at our HHS facility, as well as at the Alcoof Center up in Oregon House. And we did this utilizing our social media pages, our website, radio, and traditional news media. This effort also included staying connected to our media and community relations specialists at HHS and our sheriff's office, as well as the PG&E PIO. I will note that one challenge we faced in this incident was not getting timely updates from PG&E on estimated restoration times, as well as details on that community resource center that they operated at the Alcoof Center in Oregon House. In events like this, specific information may come from these external agencies, which can be difficult when residents look to us to answer those questions. Part of our debrief following an event is evaluating our community outreach and communication efforts. So one question that we received after this event was why we didn't use our Code Red emergency notification system. The view of the Yuba County team is that we prefer to leave Code Red strictly to evacuation warnings and orders. Using Code Red sparingly shows our community that when they do get an alert, that message is urgent and those instructions should be heeded. It also brings us in line with Cal OES standardization, which I'm happy to talk more about if you have questions on that. In addition, weather conditions are dynamic and directions may change at a moment's notice when those forecasts change. We don't want the overuse of Code Red to spur alert fatigue or complacency with our community. So with that, we encourage residents to take note of the season they're in and the hazards that may come with those seasons and prepare themselves accordingly. So that may include preparing an emergency go bag, acquiring a generator, having food, a food supply on hand for a few days, keeping flashlights, signing up for Code Red alerts, and knowing your evacuation zone. All of that information can be found on our website at bepreparedyuba.org. If you would like a little bit more kind of tailored answers, you can also call our OES office at 749-7520. And if you have any feedback from residents, please feel free to reach out to me and let me know. So with that, I'm happy to answer questions if you have them.
That was great. And I agree. We don't want fatigue. Thank you.
Yes. Okay, awesome. Thank you.
And one more thing, direction to staff. In regards to another public comment of bringing back Zoom meetings, did we have that as a board event that we voted to stop doing Zoom meetings?
So I'll have to do a little bit of research on that, but prior to the pandemic, Zoom meetings didn't exist. Right. And so I was just giving a little bit of history. So we implemented Zoom meetings to enable public participation during the pandemic. After the emergency was over, there was no obligation to continue the Zoom meetings. I believe there was an evaluation on, there is additional staffing required for the Zoom meetings. I know the clerk of the board's office, it takes an extra person. So I believe there was a discussion. I can't remember if it was the full board or if it was at the direction of just the chair and vice chair, but
yeah, I don't think we voted on it.
No,
so that's why
so we pivoted.
Curious, as chair, can I go ahead and reinstitute Zoom meetings?
I think we have to discuss it.
Yes, so we'll discuss it.
Time, since it's not on the agenda.
If we can please put it on the agenda then.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nothing to report. Thank you.
All right. We will take a 3-minute break. 8-minute break.
Yuba-Sutter.live's local government live streams are presented by Plumas Lake Self-Storage in Plumas Lake, where lifelong local residents are helping other residents keep things safe, providing indoor storage units, outdoor RV and vehicle parking, moving supplies, and Penske truck rentals. Details at plumaslakeselfstorage.com.
Hi, I'm Neil Goforth of Comfort Keepers of Yuba, Sutter, and Nevada counties. Caring for elders, or even yourself, has challenges. Comfort Keepers of Yuba, Sutter, and Nevada counties can help you address today's issues and plan for tomorrow with in-home and specialized care for you or your family members. Call us at 530-749-8800. Comfort Keepers of Yuba, Sutter, and Nevada counties.